evening, I'm Deslin Joseph and I am your presenter for today. Thank you for joining us for SAT TV News. Among the major developments, 4 young men nursing gunshot injuries. Demographic changes could influence U.S. deportment on Cuba. India tea workers burn boss to death in Assam State. Details of these and other stories after the break. Thank you for staying with us. Now for the details of the news. Winners of the first ever cooperative Calypso competition held on December 1st received their prizes on Monday, December 24th, 2012. The first ever competition formed part of the year cooperatives with other activities including a debate, community education, a small business workshop and the launch of a magazine. Mr. Daryl Bob, who forms part of the Dominica Calypso Association, says it was a great event put on by the cooperatives and he hopes that it will come again for years to come.
I can say on behalf of the association that we will pledge our technical support, and note I said technical support, to this event with the hope that it continues, because we as Caribbean people, Dominicans, we really love our Calypso, and they've been begging us to put on more Calypso events during the year, and cooperatives coming on board, even the NCCU coming on board to do a CADAS, which is an offspring of Calypso, is a wonderful thing, and I hope that it will continue in the years to come.
Honorable Gloria Shillingford, Minister for Social Services, Community Development and Gender Affairs, says all songs that were part of the competition were on a very high standard, and she commends the writers and performers for their efforts.
I know that all 3 winners were already winners, maybe monarchs too, in previous competitions. This is further indication of the quality of the Calypsos that were judged as winners for the competition. And also noteworthy is the fact that 2 of the winners were young women. Indeed, young women are steadily taking place in the Calypso arena.
She congratulated Miss Janet Jackson and Miss Rachel John Baptist on capturing their space on the winning stage. She thanked the winner, Mr. Gregory Caressa Rivera, for bringing the monarch to the Northeast.
Let me once again thank the members of the Calypso Association for partnering with the Cooperative Division for the successful outcome of the competition. I know that it called for much effort. I saw Canoville sweating. And at short notice at that. But you, all organizers and participants alike, put your best foot forward and produced a show of high standard, which was extremely well received by Calypso fans in Dominica. Thank you all for this.
Winner of the competition, Gregory Caressa Rivera, received a trophy and check of $7,000, while first runner-up Miss Rachel John Baptist received a check of $5,000 and a trophy. Second runner-up Miss Janet Jackson also received a trophy and a check of $3,000. The Cooperative Calypso competition was organized by the Cooperative Division in collaboration with the Dominica Calypso Association. 15 participants took part in the competition with the hope of educating the public of the cooperative movement in Dominica. And in more local news, Ian Sugar George Edwards, architectural designer and property developer of Sunset Homes headquartered in Anguilla, was honored with 5 respected international awards for design and property development. These globally desired awards were unveiled and presented at the International Property Awards ceremony at the exclusive Grosvenor House Hotel in London on December 7, 2012. Sugar George is the son of the late Bernadette Binji John Finn and George Edwards of the Roseau area. Over 2,000 entries were submitted from architects and property developers in 89 countries. Sugar George framed out his peers and emerged a winner in each of the 3 levels of the competition. The first stage was at country level, next the Caribbean region, and finally the world level. The competition was judged by a panel of 77 highly esteemed international judges in over 10 rounds of judging sessions around the world. He kindly accepted the exclusive global awards, which marked a peak of excellence in the fields of construction and property development. The tributes attracted significant media attention for the destination of Caribbean, putting the islands on an attractive investment destination, offering first-class services in design, construction, and property development. And in more news, in an effort to continue construction on the new grotto home for the homeless, proposals for assistance has been sent to the government as officials struggle with lack of funds for the project. This situation occurred as the funds sourced for the project have already been utilized and the progress of construction is now being hindered. Ms. Tina Alexander, Secretary of Community Hotels Incorporated, a non-governmental organization, says they are currently taking part of 42 residents at the moment. She said the current building known as the former Dominical Club is just too small and is in a deplorable state, which is why they need the new building which is being built in Bellevue, Royal.
The building is a bit of a work of faith. We started just with $600,000 that we had received from government when they purchased the old grotto behind the grammar school there. And so we started with that, and we've made a start on phase 1, which is the first 3 dormitory buildings. And that's what you see going up there now above the college. And we're about halfway through. We're just at the point now of waiting for the roof on dormitory 2. And we've dug the foundation for dormitory 3, so we're getting there.
However, additional funding is needed for phase 2 of the project.
Phase 2 is the project that is before government at the moment, and that is the dining room, kitchen, laundry, chapel, offices, sleeping in room, medical room and so on, the main complex, and that'll be on the flat near the road. And so government are just deciding how they can access resources for us to get started on that. And when that's completed, then we'll be able to move residents in, although there is a phase 3, which is to do with a farm and occupational therapy facility that will be lower down the hill.
Ms. Alexander says they have been very grateful for the government support so far, as they donated an acre of land while leasing them another acre at the site in Bellevue Road. The project has been receiving a lot of donations from various organizations, mainly the Baptist Church, who assisted with the first roof and has promised to do the same for the second.
When we originally did the plans, we didn't know that the land was as steep as it is. And so when we started to work out how best to do the building, it was going to be on pillars. And then that didn't make any sense because it meant that the space underneath wasn't being well utilized. And so what the builder's been able to do is actually fit in a whole extra dormitory underneath the second dormitory. And he's fitted in also a big storage area under the first dormitory. So that's been quite promising, and it looks as if the third dormitory can also be 2 stories. So then we should be able to house about 80 people in the first 3 dormitories.
When completed, the new building will feature permanent housing and temporary housing aimed at the vagrants on the street who will come for meals and to relax. Ms. Alexander pointed out that along with the cash challenges they are faced with, the issue of theft is also a concern, as recently the storeroom was broken into, but fortunately there was nothing for the thieves to take. She says the people who did this should be aware that it makes no sense stealing from poor people. She added that currently the project can only be done in pieces, that is when they receive donations they do some work till it's completed. The project, which is costing some $2.5 million, is expected to be ready for 2014. However, Ms. Alexander highlighted that additional budgeting is needed.
If we do take the extra 40 people with their special needs, we have to double our staffing. So it's not just the cost of the bricks and mortar, but it's also the cost of the staffing and the program. So if we were able to do it and end up with 80 to 100 people being looked after, doing a rehabilitation program, being properly supervised and cared for, we could have ended up spending as much as $5 million over the whole time. And even that doesn't take into consideration all the donations of time and the donation of the land by the government and so on. So this is a very big project. And of course everything keeps going up. So even if I tell you 5 million now, in 5 years' time we might look back on it and find we've spent even more because of inflation and so on.
And in more local news, the police are carrying out investigations into a shooting incident which occurred about 4:45 a.m. on December 25, 2012 in the Canefield district at the Cove. Albert Stevens and Arthur Bozzell of Goodwill and Carlos Nicholas of Granby are presently nursing gunshot wounds. Mr. Stevens sustained wounds to his bottom and stomach, while Mr. Bozzell sustained wounds to his bottom, and Mr. Nicholas sustained a wound to his lower back. They are all said to be in stable conditions. Many patrons who were at the venue when the shooting started said they were enjoying themselves when all of a sudden they found themselves ducking for cover while others anxiously tried to flee to avoid being shot. One patron stated this senseless act of violence endangered so many innocent citizens who were unaware of what was going on. Another angry patron said if there was police presence at the Cove, this shooting incident could have easily been avoided. And in related news, Julian Thomas, bed minister of Zizak, Portsmouth, is presently a patient at the Princess Margaret Hospital nursing a gunshot wound he sustained to his left side of his face. It was reported that Mr. Julian was shot while on Rodney Street in Portsmouth about 7:45 p.m. on December 25, 2012. The matter is under investigations. And in more local news, while growing up young, people would choose a profession that they would want to pursue in the future. However, a lot of times these do not go as planned. The profession was firstly chosen by out of our reach when reality kicks in, or there was a change of heart or financial trouble in fulfilling that dream. Evidence of this switch came true in 25-year-old upcoming airbrush artist, Mr. Garrett Gist, who firstly wanted to be a veterinarian. Mr. Gist recently hosted an airbrushing car show where his work to date was showcased to the public.
What encouraged me to do the car show was I have been playing music for the past 4 years professionally, and now I'm back in Dominica and I intend to gain a clientele again with the Dominican public. And a lot of people who I did work before keep asking, do you still paint? Do you still paint? And then I just decided, okay, let me just do this small show just to really showcase my work all over again. And then I'm hoping that I could gain the favor of the Dominican public.
He says that he was inspired to take on this skill by renowned airbrush artist Mr. Dave Joel Ali, who also taught the basics and the tricks of the trade. Mr. Gist pointed out that although he was always fascinated by an airbrush gun, he never thought of himself as an artist. However, with training and some much needed practice, he was able to gain the knowledge to use an airbrush gun professionally, which shows in his work. Mr. Gist says although playing music was his primary profession, he plans on taking his airbrushing talent to its climax as he practices it as a full-time profession.
Training wasn't really intense, it's just determination and a lot of practice, putting a lot of time and a lot of hours and effort, and a cool mindset, a positive mindset, and you can do anything. Very humble, you need to be very humble, take advice from any and everybody that you can, and then I think you're on your road to success.
The upcoming airbrush artist stated that, although he does his work to the best of his abilities, one of his challenges is pleasing the tough Dominican public. However, he pointed out that many critics who view his airbrushing work so far gave positive reviews which are motivating to him. He has the ability to airbrush on just about any surface such as metal, plastic, wood, t-shirts, glasses, earthenware, and leather, among other surfaces. The upcoming airbrush artist says that what he does is very rewarding, especially as it exposes him to many new people.
To me, bringing a smile to the person, to the client's face, makes me happy. I'm always concerned about what my clients think after I do a job. I'm always so nervous to find out what they think about the job after I've done it.
Mr. Gates says what we all need to do is put God first in our lives and have a positive mindset, because with that we can achieve anything we set out to do. Mr. Gates is thankful to the people who support him and looks forward to more Dominicans patronizing his work to bring their ideas to life with his airbrushing skills. And in more news, the police are still carrying out investigations into the fire which gutted the dwelling house of Dorothy David on Kennedy Avenue. The house was completely destroyed. The incident occurred about 10:45 p.m. on December 22, 2012, and the cause of the fire is still unknown. No one was injured. And in more news, 23-year-old Elvis Watt of Tedmont Grand Bay is presently a patient at the ICU at the Princess Margaret Hospital nursing a gunshot wound to his stomach. He was reported that Elvis was involved in a dispute with another young man of the same community about 8:30 p.m. on December 23, 2012, when he sustained the wound. Presently, one man is in custody assisting with investigations. Texaco gas station, operated by Valley Engineering on Goodwill Road, was robbed this morning by a gunman. At the time of the robbery, the attendant on duty was outside serving a customer when she noticed that someone had entered the building. The attendant followed in an effort to assist the person and instead encountered a masked man pointing a gun at her face and demanding money. She said the robber eventually made it off with money which he took from the drawer and her bag, amounting to about $1,400. The police arrived on the scene within minutes and are investigating the matter. And in court today, 23-year-old Wesley Forrester Peter of Scottshead will have to come up with $1,800 before March 31, 2013, to avoid being sentenced to prison for 6 months after pleading guilty to possession of cannabis. He also has to raise a sum of $2,700 before May 31, 2013, or will be sentenced to 7 months imprisonment as he pled guilty to possession of cannabis with intent to supply. According to the facts of the case on December 25th at about 4:30 a.m., members of the drug squad who were on mobile patrol in Roseau took a strong smell of cannabis and spotted the defendant sitting near Digital on Great Marlborough Street, smoking what appeared to be a cannabis cigarette. When approached by an officer, Mr. Peter ran while throwing this cannabis cigarette. When he was caught, a search of a bag which was on his back revealed several clear bags of what looked like cannabis, which when questioned about it, he told the officer it was weed for his medical purposes. He was then cautioned and arrested. The substance later tested positive for cannabis with a street value of $1,096. And in related news, Najaki Thomas of Trafalgar was taken into custody by police officers when 7,000 grams of cocaine was found in his possession on Sunday, December 9th in Massac. He will have to wait for January 3rd, 2013 before another application for his bail can be made. His attorney Wade Nott's application for bail was again denied when he came before Roseau Magistrate Evelina Baptist on Thursday, December 27th. Thomas was driving vehicle registration number PR466 when he was intercepted when he attempted to escape and posed a danger to the task force vehicle. The vehicle was forced to a stop when the tires were deflated by gunshots. The defendant, who was the only male occupant in the vehicle at the time, was charged with possession of cocaine and possession with intent to supply by police officers on Wednesday, December 12th. Since his first appearance before Magistrate Candia George on Thursday, December 13th, he has yet to be granted bail and has been remanded at the Stockholm State Prison since the offense. Police Prosecutor Inspector Claude Weeks repeatedly objected to Thomas' bail as he informed the court that other persons of interest are being pursued by police investigators and that they are needed more time. Mr. Weeks also stated that Thomas may interfere with potential witnesses if granted bail. The cocaine has an estimated street value of $186,900. Thomas pleaded not guilty to both charges when initially charged, and the trial has been set for the 11th of July 2013. Princeton Judge of Portsmouth, one of the alleged robbers of the Marigot Credit Union, was also denied bail and will have to wait for January 3, 2013 before another attempt for his bail can be made. Judge is one of 4 men who allegedly robbed the establishment of $36,851.45 on the 9th of March 2012. Judge and the other men stand accused of the attempted murder of Corporal Boycott Yankee, attempted murder of Inspector Oliver Frederick, and attempted murder of Corporal Hans Francis. They were also charged with conspiracy to possess one 28-gauge shotgun with intent to endanger lives, conspiracy to possess one submachine gun magazine with intent to endanger life, aggravated burglary with the use of firearm on the Marigot Credit Union, and conspiracy to possess 9 rounds of 9mm ammunition. They both pleaded guilty at court. This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.